Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to speak about objects in Excel VBA. So VBA, or the Visual Basic for Applications language, is an object-oriented language. So VBA is full of objects. It revolves around objects actually. And all these objects have properties, and properties are like characteristics, and methods, which are like behaviors or actions or verbs that the object can do. So for example, when you describe someone as being tall, okay, someone's height is a property. If you think about that person as an object, then his height is a property. And also when you say that someone is walking or someone is running or walking is a method. If you think about someone as an object, then walking or running is a method. And if you think about stuff around us as objects, so for example, a car is an object and it has some properties and methods. So part of the properties of the car is its color. So color is a property because it's something that you can describe the car with. The car's type, for example, as well. Is it an SUV? Is it a van? The car's brand. So is it a Mercedes, a BMW, a Toyota? All these are properties. And the car has some methods as well. So moving, when the car moves from one place to another, that is a method. So any object, if you think about it, has properties and methods. And this is how Excel VBA works. If you think about your mobile phone as well, your mobile phone has some properties such as its color, such as its screen size, and its brand as well. Is it an iPhone? Is it a Samsung? All these are properties for the mobile phone. And it has some methods as well. Part of the methods are the actions that the mobile phone can do. It can call, it can text, it can access the internet. All these are methods. If you think about yourself as well as an object, you have some properties and methods. So part of the properties are your height, your eye color, your skin color. All these are properties. Some of the methods that you can do: you can eat, you can sleep, you can walk, you can run. All these are methods if you think about yourself as an object. Now VBA has a lot of objects, and as an example of the objects that you will encounter in Excel VBA, there is the range object. So the range object is basically the cells in an Excel spreadsheet. A range object can be a single cell or multiple cells. So the range object has some properties, like the value of the cell. For example, the value is a property. And it has some methods, such as the select method, which is the method that you use to select the cell. Okay, this is a method. This is an action that you're going to do to the cell. So this is why it's a method. There's also the worksheet object. The worksheet is an object, so it has some properties such as its name. So the name is a property, the name of the worksheet. And there are also methods like the select method to select the worksheet. This is an action that you're going to do, so this is a method. There's also the copy method, the worksheet.copy method for copying the worksheet. The worksheet.move as well, the method for moving a worksheet as well. This is a method or an action that you're going to do to the worksheet. There's also the Excel workbook object. So your workbook as well is an object. It has some properties such as its name as well. And it has some methods such as opening the workbook. So workbook.open is a method. Closing the workbook.close is a method as well. And we will learn about that in more detail as we progress through the course. There is also the Excel application object. So the Excel as an application is also an object that has some properties and methods. And also, you need to understand that objects can contain other objects, and they are called container objects. So for example, the Excel application object contains the Excel workbook object, right? Because the Excel workbook is part of the Excel application. And also the Excel worksheet is part of the Excel workbook object as well. Because a worksheet is going to be inside a workbook. And also the range object is contained inside the worksheet object as well. Okay, so you need to understand the idea that objects can contain other objects. Also, objects can be part of a collection. So we've got the idea of collections in Excel VBA, and collections are like different families. So we've got the worksheets collection, for example. So this is like the worksheets family, okay, the family of worksheets. And all objects that are part of a collection will have the same properties and methods. Okay, so when we say the worksheets collection, that means that every worksheet belongs to this particular collection, and that all the worksheets will have the same properties and methods. We've also got the workbooks collection. So this is another family in Excel VBA, the workbooks family. And the workbooks family contains all the workbooks in Excel VBA. And all the workbooks, because they belong to this family that is called the collection, have the same properties and methods. So all workbooks in Excel VBA will have the same properties and methods. There's also the cells collection object. So all the cells will belong to the cells collection object. And why are collections useful in Excel VBA? Well, collections enable you to run code for all objects belonging to the same collection. So you can loop through a collection of objects to perform an action to every member of the collection. And we will learn about loops later on in the course. So basically, you can go through each member of a collection and perform an action to that member. So you can, for example, go through each cell in the cells collection and type a certain value to all the cells in the cells collection, for example, or perform any other action. Okay, so collections are very useful because they enable us to run code for all objects belonging to the same collection. And we will see that as well as we progress into the course. Okay guys, so that's it for objects in Excel VBA. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to speak about the VBA speech or the VBA syntax, or how the VBA language is written. So VBA is an object-oriented language, as we've explained before. And that means that objects or nouns, they come first. So in order to understand the VBA syntax or how the VBA language is written, we're going to actually compare it to how the English language is written. So, in English, you would say kick the ball. However, in VBA, objects or nouns are most important, so they come first. So, if you want to say kick the ball using VBA, you would put the noun first. So, if you want to write a sentence using VBA, you would write the noun first. So you'd write noun.verb or object.method. And therefore, if you want to say kick the ball using the VBA syntax, you would say ball.kick. So as you can see here, the noun, which is the ball, comes before the verb, which is kick. So you'd say ball.kick if you want to say in VBA syntax. Some other examples as well that you would write using VBA syntax is like dinner.eat. Or car.drive. So if you want to open a workbook in VBA, you would say workbook.open. If you want to activate a worksheet, you would say worksheet.activate. Some examples of objects or nouns in Excel, of course, are the cell is an object, the workbook, the worksheet, a chart as well is an object, and we've explained that before. Some examples as well of collections. We've explained collections before in Excel VBA. So some examples of collections, or they are considered as actually plural nouns, are the cells collection, which is a plural or it contains cells, and also the worksheets collection, which contains worksheets, and the workbooks collection, which contains all workbooks as well. So we're just reiterating the idea of having collections in Excel VBA. Now, we're speaking about collections because we want to speak about how to identify items in a collection. So if you've got a collection of items, how do you identify a certain item in a collection to make sure that you use the right item or the item that you intend to use. So for example, if you've got 3 bowls here, we've got a soccer or a football bowl, and we've got a bowling ball, and we've got a basketball. So how do we make sure that we kick the right ball? Which is, if we're going to kick a ball, it should be the soccer ball, right? We don't want to kick the bowling ball, and we don't want to kick the basketball. So there are actually 2 ways of identifying an item in a collection. There is a less used way and a less recommended way, which is using the index number. And although it's a less used way, you will use it sometimes, but you're not going to use it a lot as the other way. And the other way is using the name. But let's speak about using the index number first. So if you want to use the index number and you want to kick the first ball in this collection, and the first is basically counting from left to right, then you would write bowls 1.kick. So if you write bowls 1.kick this way, you will be able to kick the soccer ball. However, what happens if these bowls get reordered? And that means what happens if one of your friends puts the bowling ball to be the first ball from the left-hand side, and you write bowls 1.kick, and you kick the bowling ball. Ouch. That's going to be a painful experience, right? It's going to be very painful to kick a bowling ball. So this is why it is not recommended to use the index number to identify an item in a collection. So the better way is to actually use the name of the object. So it's better to write bowls soccer.kick. So if you do that, you will make sure to kick the correct ball, which is the soccer ball, regardless of its position in this collection. So if the soccer ball is the first or the second or the third, you're going to make sure that the soccer ball is the ball you kick. Okay, so it's better to use the name of the item rather than its position. Now, let's speak about methods or verbs. So, methods in Excel VBA or verbs have actually parameters, and parameters act like adverbs in the English language. So, if you say bowls soccer.kick, and then you would write direction equals right, force equals hard. The direction and the force are considered parameters or adverbs in Excel VBA, and they describe how the verb or the method, which is kick, is done. So here we're saying that we want to kick the ball to the right and with a hard force. So if you see a equals operator, this indicates that you've got an adverb or a parameter. And parameters or adverbs can sometimes be confusing, because if you know the default order of the adverbs, you can leave off the name. So if you know that the default order for the direction and the force are that the direction comes first and then the force parameter, then you could write, instead of writing bowls soccer.kick direction equals right, force equals hard, you could write bowls soccer.kick right, hard. Of course, we do not have a kick method in Excel VBA, and we do not have a direction and a force parameters, but you get the idea. So in VBA, you could write shapes.addShape. So we're using the addShape method on the shapes collection object in order to add a new shape. And then you would write left equals 10, top equals 20, width equals 30, height equals 15. And these parameters or adverbs identify the position of the shape when it is inserted. So you can actually write shapes.addShape 10, 20, 100, 15 without explicitly writing the parameters, and it will still work. Okay, the code will work absolutely fine. However, if you do that, if you write the code without explicitly writing the parameters, the code will be confusing, right? if someone else reads your code and you write shapes.add shape 10, 20, 100, 15, if somebody reads your code this way, they will be confused. They will not understand what you mean, because not everyone remembers the positions of the parameters or the order of the parameters, right? So writing the values of the parameters without specifying the actual parameters is a bad programming practice. So even though your code is still going to work, it is actually a bad programming practice, and it is better to explicitly write your parameters or adverbs. Okay, so we've spoken about parameters. Now let's speak about properties or adjectives. So properties, what they do is that they describe an object. So for example, when we write ActiveSheet.name equals MySheet, the property name here gets the value of MySheet. And that means that the name of the active sheet is going to be MySheet. And also, properties do not use the colon equals construct. Okay, so the colon equals is exclusive for parameters. So whenever you see a colon equals, that means you've got a parameter here. And you can set a variable equal to the value of a property. So for example, you can set variable x to be equal to the name of the active worksheet by writing x equals ActiveSheet.name. And we will see how to do that in the future on the course as well. Okay, so let's summarize what we've explained on this video. So a noun in the English language is equivalent to an object in Excel VBA. And a plural noun is equivalent to a collection. And think of different collections as different families. A verb in the English language is equivalent to a method in Excel VBA. And an adverb is equivalent to a parameter. And also an adjective in the English language is equivalent to a property in Excel VBA. Okay? So I hope that was informative for you about understanding the VBA syntax. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.